Hello everybody and welcome to another live stream we're doing here at ePianos, Whitley Bay Organs, Tyros and Genos Tipsters. I'm David Cooper and today I'm going to show you some stuff on the Tyros 5. The Tyros 5 is made in two sizes. This is a 61 note and there is a 76 note, which is a little bit longer but easier to spread out. If you've been used to an organ or a piano, the 76 is only one octave shorter than a normal piano, 88 note piano, and you've got the range to have a lower keyboard and an upper a bit more than this is the 61 note, but it fits on camera much better, so we're using the 61 note today. Okay, we had a few microphone problems, so I'm sorry about the delays. The microphone we were using didn't work, and we're now using the spare microphone, so hopefully it'll last and work throughout for you, and we'll get some new ones for next time, hopefully. So let's just see what a few of you said. I hope to Richard Taylor. Yeah, I'm sure I had a face on then. I probably do have a funny face. It's a bit like lots of things when you're driving and things, you have a serious face or a face that you're thinking when you're playing. So yeah, I agree with that, Richard. I've probably got a keyboard playing face on. Okay, let's see what we've got. So Mick Sayers can't join us. He's going to catch us later. Hi Mick. Dennis Noble. Hi Dennis from Newcastle under Lyme. Looking forward to the stream. Well, I hope it helps you, Dennis. Michael Harvey from Stockton-on-Tees. Hi Michael, thanks for joining us. Paul Ashby, Thorpe in Surrey, able to watch today. That's great. Well, thanks for joining us. Hope you get some stuff out of it. I'm going to be doing that on the Tyros 5, but everything I do will work pretty much on Tyros 1 through to 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and the 4SE. And also a lot of the features that are on here will still be usable on the SX series, the S series and the Genos. If you've got any questions or you want to know if it's something I'm showing you is going to work on yours, and do ask me. That's what this great little box under this video is for, to ask us questions. And if you found the videos useful that we're doing, stick a thumbs up underneath, and that just lets us realise that some people are benefiting from it. Okay, who else have we got on here? Dave. Hi David, I have Tyros 5. I'd like to know how I can see the contents of my hard drive, and more importantly the free disk space. Well, there is a place to see on a Tyros and a Genos. What have you got, a Tyros 5? There's a place to see what memory you've used up. If you go to the function button at the top of the screen here, to the right of the screen, just here, and then we go into utility on the H button, we've actually got a place where it shows us. So if we go to HD1 on the screen of the media screen and go to property, it shows us the free area that's left. So this one's not really got anything loaded into it. So on here, all size 465.7 gigabytes, free area 465.7 gigabytes. So I've got a couple of things stored, but not very much. So the memory is still very available, and that's a good way just to check what memory you've used on your instrument. And the memories on these modern keyboards are vast. On a Genos, it's into the gigabytes, so you've got plenty of space. It's unlikely that you're going to fill the space up with all your files. The files that use the most space will be audio files and some of your MIDI recording files. And if you've got expansion things in there, you've probably got an expansion memory especially for those. And voice changes will make a bit of a difference. But things like the registrations and the music finder are just really which sound have you got on. They're just a list of things, so they're not going to take very much information. So there's room for loads and loads. And like some of you might swap with friends and get different registrations, then that's where you've got plenty of room, as long as you store it carefully so you know where to find it. So many of our customers will have files, and they've put them into folders and new folders, and they're folders within folders within folders, and actually don't know where they are. So that's something, I'll cover that in a minute, of how easy it is to find folders and files, and how you can make them a clearer thing to use. So we'll exit back to the main screen again now, and let's just go through. Something else you can do, if you want to link this by a USB cable to a computer, you can turn it on with the music finder button held down, and that will actually give you on your computer screen all of your files that are in your keyboard. So I'm pretty sure that's right. If you have the connection from with an A to B cable from a USB from your back of your keyboard into your computer, and then you hold down the music finder button and turn the keyboard on, and it will all be displayed like a USB stick on your computer desktop. So that's a good way to see what you've got selected. Okay, hope that helps a little bit. Okay, Stephen Berry, hi David. Is there any real benefit of the Tyros 5 being connected wirelessly these days? Probably not really. Tyros 5 was, when it first came out, there was a platform that Yamaha set up to get people to share their registrations all around the world, and they've now taken that platform down. So the sort of portal that was there was, you could put your favourite settings for certain songs, a bit like the music finder. You could store them and upload them through an app, and that could be shared by people around the world. But it took a lot of management, I think, and probably the cost to do it was more than Yamaha wanted to carry on spending, I'm guessing. So I don't know that, but I'm guessing so. It wasn't something that they actually supported any longer. The way you could use the LAN might be to upload voice and style expansion voices, but you can do that on a memory stick very, very easily, and I don't think it's going to save you a lot of time. So I personally would find there's no use for a LAN connection on the Tyros 5, but you can do it, and it would link up to Yamaha MusicSoft for expansion voices. Okay, hi Gordon Hughes, thanks for joining us. Best Ricky, hi Ricky. Video isn't coming on so far, we're a bit late starting, Ricky. Keyboard face when you play, I agree entirely, Richard. Yeah, the Liam Neeson face, thank you very much. Love what you're doing for us, for a good job, thank you. Well, thanks Richard, hope it helps. And anything else you think of, let us know. Bart M, hi, greetings from the Netherlands. Keyboard and Tyros phone now. I have a Genos, but always instructive. Yeah, a lot of the stuff I'm going to show you will work on the Genos. It's a Tyros 5, but we'll go through some of those things. Max Green, hi Max. Chris Davison, looking for more gems on the SX900. Well, it's not one, but again, a lot of the things will work for you. Chris Davison, looking for more gems. That's you, sorry, I've read that twice. Terence Parker, hi Terence. Just to remind you started. You haven't missed much. We were late starting, if any of you have just joined us. Michael Harvey, on the Genos, what is the difference of looking for songs using the registration buttons or using playlist? I'm afraid the penny hasn't dropped. Well, I will explain that very briefly. On the Genos, you have two areas where all your songs can be kept. When we sell a Genos, we load in about 2,450 songs into the registration area, because the music finder that we've got on here is no longer part of the Genos. It's each one is using a registration button. So if you move on to a Genos from a Tyros model, then all your music finder won't be there in the same place, but it will still be there. We will load up 2,500 songs, and they will be all registration banks. Each song will have a bank of either 1 or 6 lights, and you can just go into the registration area by pressing your 2 registration bank select buttons, and you can look through the songs which are in the folders of Tyros 5 and Genos playlists or song lists, but you could also just search for a song. So it's a much quicker way of doing it now. You can just go to the magnifying glass, search, type in part of the song title, and all of the songs that have that word or that title will come up on the screen. So the registration area is where you can go into your songs, but the playlist is a feature where Yamaha brought in to put favourite songs together. So if you wanted to put a load of Christmas songs together, or you wanted to put a medley that you're going to play at the bowls club or the tennis club, then you can put the songs that you play regularly into a list that you search for from the main list, and they can be your short list of your gig for that day. So there are some playlists that Yamaha have made up in the theme of a certain style, like Latin or ballroom, but the idea is the playlists are for you to put your groups of songs together, but you can access them all from the registration area until you want to make them into your own list. So I hope that helps my chord, but do come back to me if you want some more explanation. Okay, so we've gone through so far bits and bobs. I want to show you today some tips using the multi-pad feature. So the multi-pads on both the longer one and the shorter one, the 76 and the 61, are just to the left of the screen here. And a lot of people don't use these, and a lot of people do use them, but there's different ways that you can use them. And the way that I want to sort of highlight to you today is that the multi-pads can be used independently of all of the rhythm section. So when you've got the rhythm section on, the multi-pads can add to them. I'll give you an example. If we go to the styles, now we'll just use the acoustic jazz style, and I'll just turn that on for a sec. There's a nice simple king. Okay, now with the one touch setting link turned on, when I go to select, it will give me, can you see on there, doo-wop 2, which is one of their backings with the vocals, a bit like we had the sound of a minute ago. So if I'm playing my accompaniment now, okay, I can choose from these buttons 1, 2, 3 or 4, and they will add something to my backing. And if I change my chord, they will change with the chord. So let's give you an example. I'll put my accompaniment on. Excuse me. Number 1. I'll turn the volume up slightly more. And that's now playing. Let's turn it up a bit more. Okay. So that's my backing that's adding to my chord. And if I change my chord, and I'll change my chords, and the backing changes with it. So that's given me just number 1 button. Now if I go to number 2, it will be different effects. So number 2. If I go to number 3, it will be different again. And number 4. Now this is just one set of 4. Now in the multi-pad menu you actually have 19 pages, so you've got 190 sets of 4 that you can select from. And they're all interesting ones. Some of them are more usable than others. We've got things like weather effects. We've got some comedy ones. But they're sort of split into 2 lots. Some of them will just add to your style and change with your chord, and some of them, like those, will just stop after they've done their bit. So if I do comedy number 3, and that's it, finished. But if we go back to the earlier pages again, we've got ones which will change with the chord, and there are loads to go through. I'm not going to be able to go through them all, but let's just go to the first one, pop ooh. I'm going to play my chord again, and I'll play it. We have a break. So they're going to continue with my chord. Whatever chord I'm playing, they're going to match it, and they're going to work in sequence with the rhythm section. Now, if we go to a bit further on, we've got some really good ones. If we go to the bossa nova rhythm, let's just go to a Latin rhythm. Let's go to Latin. We'll go to a jazz samba. And that's actually got some of the effects in it. Let's just go to one that hasn't. Brazilian samba. Okay, so we've got a standard samba now, but if we go to our multi-pads and we choose the Latin vocal effects, you get all the in the background. That's not a very good explanation. Let's try that now. Now play number 1. You hear that? I'll turn my chords down slightly. I've got all those vocal effects coming through, and I've got more than that. I've got number 2. Number 3, and I can mix them together. So they just enhance what you're playing with some extra backings and things. Now, one thing that you can do that I want to show you today is how you can use the multi-pads on their own, because some of the ones that play along with your chords are very good to use individually. So what I'm going to do is start off with the first one. I'm going to use one called Steel Bees Chord. Now what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to turn down the volume of my style. So on the bottom of the screen here if we just turn this volume down to the bottom, that will cut out my style volume. And that means all the backings, although I'm going to play my chords with the accompaniment button turned on, you won't hear any of the chords and the backings because I've now turned them right down. You'll see there's no sound. Okay, now if I go in to play my selection, I'm going to go to select and I'm going to go to page 4, and we've got one that says steel B's chord fast. Steel B's chord fast. Okay, now what my recommendation for this one is to put it onto variation number 4. So we're number 4 here. Okay, and slow it down to 1, 2, 3. That faster, 1, 2, 3. It's true. So this one is a really good backing that I like for yakety sax, you know, the Benny Hill theme. So if we choose a saxophone, let's go into the woodwind section. We'll go to the jazz saxophone, or we'll perhaps do the there's a more of a baritone sax, isn't there? So now I'm going to use number 4 as my backing, and that's going to be my chord accompaniment with nothing else. Okay, so what we've done is we've used the multi-pad as our chord backing, turned off all the style. If I bring my style back in, he says, I've got to put on the right page, here we go, and bring my backing in now. They sort of both get in the way of each other. So I'm bringing my style volume down, just do that again on the screen, bring my style volume down here, and that means now that when I play my backing, maybe it was a little bit too fast before, we can slow it down a bit maybe. Now this is all part of the guitar backing. So when we go to this select button next to the multi-pads here, we can see we've got loads of different ones. We've got twin Bs, steel Bs, we've got steel 8, steel 16, and these are just all variations that give you slightly different backings. Now I think my favourite one I'm going to do next, which is steel B's chord slow. So if we go to steel B's chord slow on the screen, this one here, second one down on page 4, this is what I'm going to suggest for playing at speed 1, 2, 3 again. But this is a much slower version, it's half the speed. So when I play now on variation number 2, it's great for Postman Pat, but lots of other songs too. There's my backing. I'm going to put a flute on with it this time, so let's go to the woodwind section again and choose a flute. Jazz classical flute. Okay, and backing number 2. Like that? It's good, isn't it? So what it's doing is it's giving me a totally different backing to anything that you've probably used on the keyboard before, because I've turned off all the bass and all the backings, and I'm just using the multi-pads to just give me that whole style, and I've turned down the whole style volume. Let's just see if anyone's joined us. Indonesia is coming. Selamat malam. Oh, hello. Good evening to you, Liao Halong, and April Teniente. Hi everybody, that's nice of you to join us too. So we're going through the multi-pads, and I give you some suggestions. I've got a list of these, and if some of the ones that you like, you want more details, then I can send you this list by email, and it will show you the ones that I'm going through. So you might find some more of the ones here that you like. Let's go to another one. So on page 4 again of the multi-pads, I've got steel 8-beat strum. So steel 8-beat strum, there we go. Let's have a listen. This is on number 2 I'm suggesting, but again you've got the other 3 to choose from yourself, and you need to have a look for yourself really and see. So put it on. And what I've put on for this one, I've put this one down as being a speed of 98. And this is good for a song called More Than Words that you might remember being in the charts in the probably the 90s. So I'm going to leave it on that same sound, but now number 2. Put the guitar with it. Okay, so that's More Than Words, that's a good one. Another one I've got here is a Bossa Nova Girl from Ipanema. So if we go to the next page again of the multipads, let's go in there and we go to page 6. And on page 6 I've got one called Nylon Bossa 1. This is a really nice Bossa Nova backing, but again very different from having no drums and having no bass, just cutting it right back to the instrument itself. So for this one I've got number 4, and we'll play our chord again. Put a sound on, my flute back on, or sax. Now one thing you have to remember is you haven't got the endings available because you've turned all the style section down. So what I did then, I used the fade in and fade out, and you can decide how long you want that to fade in and fade out for. Okay, here's another one to try then. Nylon Acoustic. So if we go to Nylon Acoustic in the multipads, Nylon Acoustic, whereabouts is that one? Nylon Acoustic on page 6. Oh, that's strange, it's not on my page here. Let's try using nylon accompaniment, okay? And let's see what that sounds like. So I've got down here for number 2. It's not actually going to work, so I'll divert away from that one. I must have written it down wrong, okay? Nylon Bossa Nova 2. And this is good for Under the Boardwalk, okay? So let's play this one, and we're going to use, for this one, number 1. And number 110. Okay, let's use the flute. So that's Under the Boardwalk, and that's with Nylon Bossa Nova 2. Okay, let's go to page 5, and on the page 5 of the selections we've got some more, and there's one called Steel Guitar Pick. Steel Guitar Pick. Okay, and pick one. Now this is good for jambalaya, so I'm going to use number 3. Much more lively. Okay, so that's Jambalaya. And we'll do a couple more. I've got one called Steel Triplet 1, and that is on page 6. And Steel Triplet 1, we go to. This is ideal for Claire, which is actually my girlfriend's name. So, hi Claire, if you're watching. Okay, and let's put this one on. This is on Claire, and it's on number 2. Let's put on my flute again. It's just so simple, isn't it? But it's just a really nice backing without all the full-on sounds. It just keeps it really simple and nice. Okay, one more to show you, which is Steel Triplet 1 again, and I'm going to use number 4 this time. And this is good for a bit of Barry Manilow. Okay, so there's a few ideas for you. Tell me if you've used the multipads much yourself. Let me know on the messages, perhaps, if you've actually used them on their own, because it is a really different way to use the keyboard, and not something that maybe a lot of you would have thought perhaps about. Maybe more of you are doing it than I think. But is it something that you think you'll use yourself and have a go at? And if it is, then certainly I can send you this list of all the ones I've just been doing today, with the speed and the variation to use and a suggestion for the song. And maybe have a go yourself, see what you think to it. But I think it's just a nice way to use it. And the other thing you can do is you can still enhance that lower backing with something like a lower voice. So if we were to go to that last one again and play that multipad, which was, there we go, number 2, number 4. Let's put that on with a lower vocal. I'll go to my lower voices over on the right hand side where Charlie just was. I'm going to select the voice and I'm going to choose, we've got strings there, but I'm going to go to choirs, and I'm just going to go across to soft choir ooh. There we go. And I'm going to bring in my lower volume. So let's just go back to the main screen, bring in my lower volume and turn it on. And let's bring that back in again. Another way that you can use the keyboard. Please try it, have a go, see if you think it's a good idea. Okay, so we have, okay, good afternoon David, Malcolm Atkinson, thank you to have you with us. Yamaha and off other keyboards, my favourite keyboards. David is really amazing, thank you. I like the keyboard. I've tried it a few times myself. Just get something different out of the keyboard. It doesn't work with the other to the SXs and exactly the same. Never tried that, but do you use them with audio files? Do you use them? So you could use audio files instead of the multipads, and that could be a song of somebody playing. But the multipads are there, set up to follow your chords. So what I'm showing you. Please, David, send me the list. Okay, no, David. He's singing shushing around my microphone, so perhaps if you could let me know if you're hearing it badly or if you think that I need to do something about the setup we've got here, because we're on our reserve microphone and maybe that's not working so well. Stephen Berry, I use the multipads a lot, but the OTS settings aren't great, so I end up turning off OTS and setting the sounds at first. Yes, Tommy, there are some serious sound issues. Okay, so the OTS link, I actually quite like the OTS link, Stephen. I think it's a matter of choice of everybody, and a lot of people don't have the time or want to make the time to set up their own settings themselves, and normally the 4 that Yamaha give you are pretty good. Don't forget, there's no reason why you don't change the OTS settings to your own settings and attach them to a style. We did that quite recently on another video, where on a live stream, where we made some registrations that we liked and we memorized them into the OTS one touch setting buttons. That's on the screen, Charlie, yeah? And then these buttons can be memorized using the memory button to the new settings, and at the end it says do you want to save them, and you can store them in. So if you want to try that, there's a video we've made recently which shows you how to change the one touch settings to a new set and store it as a user style, and that means then you haven't got to worry about not liking the Yamaha ones. You can put your own in there, so there is a way around it, and that would mean then when you go to the style section, if you go to the D button on the main screen and we go into the screen now, we've got a user tab here, and anything you've saved will then come up in the user area of any of your user styles that you've made yourself. Okay, so I hope that helps. Sound problems, no volume. Terence Parker said no volume. So can people hear me now? Let's just check. Is it coming through loud and clear now, Terence, or are you still having some problems? I'm sorry about this. We're still in the practicing stage. It's only our 14th live stream. We should know by now, I think. Sounds problems, no volume. So can someone tell me you can hear me now? That would be great to know. Just to check it's coming through loud and clear now for you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Anyone there? Okay, well, let's show you some more stuff then. So we've gone through the multipads. The multipads themselves will only change when you change the style if the OTS link is turned on. So if we go to one of the styles and we have the OTS link turned on, when we go to select, it will change the multipad to suit that style I'm on. So if we go to the country rhythms and I choose bluegrass, when I go now to my multipads, it's now picked for me steel guitar pick 3. If I go to world and I go to an Irish hymn, when I pick select now, it shows me it's chosen pop ooh. So it's going to change the multipads to suit the style if the OTS link is on. And this is another thing to remember. If you're making your own sounds or you're adjusting things, the OTS link will kind of force it to go back to one of Yamaha's settings if you're on the A, B, C, D variations or the one touch setting 1, 2, 3, 4. So what you have to remember is if you're going to be wanting it to keep to your own settings while you're playing, and you don't want it to be anything to do with changing settings to the Yamaha ones, make sure the OTS link on this left hand side next to the accompaniment is turned off, because that means that if you were to go and you're playing while that's turned on and you go to the C button, you'll get a new voice because it's going to link up a sound. You'll get a new multipad and changes of volumes and things as well. So you need to make sure that if you're being inventive yourself and you don't want things to change, make sure the OTS link is turned off. I would leave it on all the time because generally I tend to use the ones that are set up. I'm happy with most of the settings. I think Yamaha have done a good job, and they're all pretty good. So if I go to any rhythm style and have the OTS link turned on, it's going to give me 4 different sounds on the A, B, C, D buttons, and that's the way I prefer to use it. I don't spend that much time programming anymore, so it means that I can just use the sounds that they've found, and someone good at Yamaha has made those registrations. But you might want to be more inventive yourself, and if you turn this OTS link turned off, that means you can then do that. Okay, so let's just check. Sound good, that's good, Max, thank you. Richard Taylor, thanks for letting us know. I got volume but intermittent. Well, hopefully we'll be okay. Terence Parker's okay now. Richard Taylor, select plus pad gives you sync start. Select plus pad gives you sync start. So I think what he's talking about is if you were to hold down the select button when you press the one that you want, it puts it alongside the synchro start. That's quite a good feature, which is good to tell people, Richard. Thank you. So if you're going to use the synchro start feature on the accompaniments, and you're using the multipads when they're all turned the volumes up, then you can use, or without that as well, you can hold down the select button and press the multipad that you want to use, and it will link into the synchro start, so that the moment that you start playing, that will then start the background. So it makes it a little bit neater. So that's a good thing. Thank you, Richard. Okay, and Nikki Hills off Soft Boy, I'm from India. Well, thanks for joining us. That's good to have you with us too. Okay, I want to go through some pedals today. You can use different pedals with this instrument, and you can use them for lots and lots of different functions. So one of the functions you might want to use them for would be the obvious sustain pedal, like a piano would have, but you could use them for starting and stopping the rhythm, bringing in an intro or a fill-in or a break, and you've got so many choices which you perhaps should know about. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to, I've got one pedal connected at the moment. I don't know if you can tell, but this seat's quite high for me and my feet are dangling on the ground, but we're going to press the direct access. I'm going to press my pedal, and if I look at the screen close up now, you'll see when I press direct access it says press something, and when I press my pedal it goes straight to the controller screen. Now we've got it set to sustain at the moment. What you have to remember is there are more than one type of pedal that you can use with a keyboard like this. So the main ones are the switch pedals, which would be like we're using, which is like one of these. This is a sustain pedal or a foot switch pedal. Or there's a cheaper version, which is a bit more flick around the floor jobby, but this is a smaller sustain or switch pedal. Okay, and then there's the volume pedals. Now Yamaha are quite crafty in that most pedals don't work unless it's a proper Yamaha one, and the Yamaha ones, they're a little bit more expensive, but we have these second hand at £59. I think the proper price is £79 or £80, but this is the heavy duty volume pedal that Yamaha make and give you the chance to adjust the swell and the volume of the keyboard, and you can set what you want each pedal to activate. So this is a volume here, and we can turn it louder or softer. But what you can do with all these adjustments on the screen is you can decide, do we want it to work for the lower voices or just the right hand melody voices? Do you want it to work for all the voices or just the lead voice? So you have a choice of how it's going to be used. If we look closely at this screen, look, we can see we've got 3 foot pedals, and at the top hopefully you can see the first one is sustain. I haven't got the second 2 plugged in at the moment, but the next one down is currently set to articulation 1, and the third one is to volume. And then it asks you, what do you want it to work for? So you can show what you want it set up for to activate. Okay, and that includes the song volume, the style volume, multipad volume, microphone volume, left, right 1, right 2, right 3. So it might be you're playing a piece of music where you want it just to control the left hand voice, or it might be you want it to just control the microphone or something. So you can set it to be relevant to it, and the certain ticks will only come up if they're relevant to the pedal that you've got it connected, set up for. So if we just go through the list of what you can actually set it for, we've got articulation 1 and 2. Now these are shortcuts to the buttons on the panel. So when we're on the panel on the left hand side here, articulation 1 is a sort of smooth glissando, and number 2 is the sort of blub blub blub, bit more of a wild glissando on many of the voices. So that's your articulation, and if you're worried about letting go of the keyboard and tapping those buttons, you can do it on the foot switch as well. We've then got volume, which would be something like the swell volume pedal, and that would be allow you to control the volume on many sections. And because we've moved down to volume here, it now shows me at the bottom all the different sections we can turn it on and off for. So I could say, well, I don't want the volume on the multipads to change, so I can turn that off, and that will set the tick at the top of the page to not include the ones that I turn off as well. So we can turn off the different sections we want to be controlled by that. Then we go down to sustain, and sustain can be on the left voice and the 3 right voices. Sostenuto. Now sostenuto is a weird one. It is a effect on a piano. If I show you how the sostenuto works, I'm just going to turn my piano on for a minute. Okay, so if I put let's play a bass note. Oh, 1 second, let's turn the chords off. Okay, so I'm going to play my bass note, and as I put my bass note down, I'm going to then separately put down my pedal. And the bass note continues to sustain. But if I play notes in my melody, they're still short, but the sustain is still carrying on. So let me do that with a big chord. I'm going to play a big chord, play my pedal, and it carries on sustaining. But the notes that are not held down when I play my pedal in sostenuto are going to be short. Okay, now there is a way around this, because if I play my chord and I play my pedal, they're all sustaining, but the notes that were included when I put my pedal down carry on sustaining, but other ones won't do. So it just sustains the notes that you were holding down when you put the pedal out. That's called sostenuto. It's quite effective actually, because we can use this on constant sound. So let's say you were playing a church organ. Let's go into there's fantastic church organs on here. We go into the church organ section called concert, number 7. So I quite like to put the bass note of my church organ sound just like a bass note on an organ on a church. Then I'm going to play my sostenuto pedal. So it's going to hold down all the last notes that you played, and it could be a constant sound that just carries on going, or it could be something like a piano that just dies away. So you have the choice of how you use the sostenuto, but it's quite a good effect. Okay, let's go back into that again. So next one down is called soft. That's the same as the pedal on a piano. Then we've got glide. So you can use the glide with the pitch bend if you wanted to. If we've got something like let's choose a trombone. We can use the pitch bend on the left here. But we could also do it on the foot switch. So if I put my foot down before I play the note, and we can do it on the foot switch. So it depends where you've got the spare hand to do it. If it's a guitar, you're playing like the Hawaiian effect, then perhaps the foot switch is a little bit easier than letting go to come over to the pitch bend. So we can do it on the glide facility. And if we just go back to that foot switch again, we've got glide here, and you can decide how many notes at the bottom of the screen here. We've got the range of how many semitones that glide is going to work. So I could do a really big glide. Let's do 12 notes. So we can make it a really different effect. But really somewhere like 2 is where we want it to be. And then you've got the speed to come into that and the speed to come out of it again, and decide whether you want the glide to go up. So we can set it to up or down. So you can really decide how you want it to be to suit your style of playing or the sound that you're going to use it with. So that's the glide effect. So going down from there, we've got one called portamento. Now portamento is another sort of a glidey effect. It sweeps up to the next note. So if I play a note while my portamento's down, it glides all the way up and back again, depending on which notes you're playing. So it's a little bit like the articulation is now doing for us, but the idea is portamento is going to glide up rather than just step up to the next note. If we go down a bit further, we've got pitch bend, we've got modulation, so the same as the 2 buttons on the side here, and then we've got DSP variation. Now this is, someone asked me about this recently. DSP variation could be your Leslie effect, and you want it to go fast or slow. So if you're playing with these buttons on the far right hand side, which is your DSP effect over here, then we can bring it in on the button, and we've got variation, and variation is going to be probably going from a Leslie effect, going slowly to fast and back again. So we could do that on our foot switch. If we go down a bit further, we've got pedal control wah, which is like a guitar would have the wah effect. Harmony echo, we can bring in our harmony just for certain notes when we put the foot down. So if we've got this set to harmony, when the harmony is turned on, it will only work when your foot switch is down. That might be some end of your sort of part of a song, and you want to just come in with a big chord at the end of the verse or something, and you could just put your pedal down for the harmony to cut in just for certain notes when you're not. Sometimes when you're playing too fast, the harmony gets a bit muffled and muddy, so that's where you can use your pedal for turning the harmony on and off. Vocal harmony, so if you're using a microphone, you could turn the vocal harmony on. That's very useful if you're singing and you want certain notes to come through with the harmony. Just hold your foot down when you want that to happen. Vocal effects, talk mode, if you're in vocal effects mode and you want to go back to talking again. If you're using the score facility, you can go up and down the pages using this. Lyrics page, if you're singing along with the song, you can go on to the next page of the lyrics, so it does that for you. Text pages. A lot of people don't realise you can actually make a text document on a computer. It might be a set list for a gig you're playing, or it might be some words to a song, and you can actually have on the screen what you've typed on your computer as a text page, and you can load it into the screen as your notes maybe for your gig, or the words to a song you're going to play, or the keys you're going to play something in. So whereas there might not be room alongside a registration to have all of your notes for playing, you could actually jump across to a text page, and this can bring it in and go forwards with it from the foot switch. So the text thing is a really clever thing, and if any of you want to know more, I can do that in a future live stream, but it's a very clever way to have a set of notes on your page that you've typed in on your computer, stick it on a memory stick as a text, and then a text document. It's just a very basic document, and then it loads it in on the screen as words exactly how you've typed them in. It's quite a clever thing there. Okay, just quickly look at your messages a minute, see what if any of you have joined us. Okay, Tony V, hi David, thanks for another live session. Are some of the settings on timers similar to 709? Well, they probably are really, yeah, I think they are probably, Tony V. The multipads are not on a 709, so the things we were showing you earlier won't be, but all these pedal selections are all on a CVP79 just the same, and you can go in and allocate things to your pedals, and that makes it quite easy to use them if you're using the different effects and things. Okay, can you again make video of Yamaha? We will be doing other SX series videos, yes, they'll be coming soon. The price of the Tyros 5 in Indonesia is 40 million. Well, it's a lot cheaper. So one of these at the moment, we're able to do a Tyros 5 76 for 1999 pounds sterling, and 2099 for the 61 note version. Okay. Which model will I need to get? The glide on the Tyros and a Genos. So if you want the glide effect, just any foot switch would work, Tommy. So you could use the deluxe one, which doesn't click around the floor so bad. The smaller one, these are about $29.99. The smaller one is much easier to sort of kick. It's not so heavy, and it tends to sort of fly around the floor, and your foot's trying to catch it. It's like a little sewing machine pedal. So I would say that the deluxe ones are much better, and we've got those in stock, $29.99. I think we've actually got some second-hand ones, so like this one here, you could have for £20 if that was going to do the job well. So that's a second-hand version. Okay. Yes, please, on the text. Okay, well, we'll definitely cover the text thing, Richard. It's a good thing to show you. Can you tell me how to connect a Yamaha SX to a laptop with a host port? I've tried and installed drivers, but it's not working. So if you wanted to connect an SX, it would be the same. I'm pretty certain you'd use your host port to your computer. You hold down the music finder button as you turn the keyboard on, and that will then show you on your computer the drive, which is the memory from the computer, from the keyboard. So perhaps have a try at that. Okay. Best tricky. Tyros is still excellent. I've had 4s and 5s. Yeah, a lot of people have gone from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, maybe gone to Genos. The Tyros 5 is still a very strong instrument, and if you've gone for SXs, you might still think, actually, I prefer the bigger sound of the Tyros 5. It's got a lot going for it, and it is the top of the range. It's the flagship one that was £4,000 new, so it's a very high spec keyboard with separate speakers. It makes it a very rich sound. With all of the smaller keyboards, you can put them through the bigger speakers, but the Tyros setup is really, really good for that really big sound. Okay, So foot switches you can use in lots of different ways, and this is the page to do it. Now, one thing to remember is that if you put a foot switch into the back of the keyboard while the keyboard is turned on, there's a high chance it will work the wrong way round. So if we were to put a sustain pedal into the back of the keyboard now, it would actually sustain all the time until we hold the pedal down. And a lot of people call us about this. They've got a new keyboard, they put their pedals in, but they plug them in while it's turned on. And if you do that, they will work the wrong way. So what we can do on this screen here, we have a thing called pedal polarity. You can either unplug the pedal, turn off the keyboard, put the pedal back in again while it's turned off, turn the keyboard back on again, and then it will recognize there's a pedal plugged in. Or you can just change the pedal polarity on this screen here by going across to the plus or the minus, and that will mean then that the pedal will be the opposite way round. It's very similar on an SX and a Genos. If you go up to the menu button at the top of the screen, you can then choose pedal polarity when you're in the page of the pedals. So direct access, not the pedal, that then goes onto this controller page, and then you can go into menu and polarity on a Genos or an SX, but on here it's actually on the screen on display all the time. Okay. So the other thing to bear in mind, if you're going to save registrations and you want particular settings for your pedals to work with your registrations you've made, you've got to ensure that when you press the memory button on the panel here and go to the screen, we've got to make sure that on this screen here you've got a tick by pedal, and that's the same as SX and Genos as well. So if you want to record some registrations of your own and you want them to include pedal settings, you've got to make sure that the pedal tick is ticked after you press the memory button, and then you can make sure that that will be included in the registration that you're saving, and then you've got to make sure that you save it at the end. So if we were making a registration now, we'd be memorizing it into the button, making sure the pedal's set, and then we could then need to save it to store it in correctly, fully. The memory button will temporarily store it until we name it and keep it as a batch. Okay, so the pedals are very useful. Volume pedal is great. If you've had an organ before and you like the idea of just being able to bring the swell up and down for certain effects, then the volume pedal is very useful. If you want to use it for foot switches like articulation or pitch bend or changing registrations, there is another section you might need to go into, and that is in the function button. So we're going to go to the right hand side of the screen here. I'm going to press the function button, and we're going to go into registration sequence, this one here. Now for some reason this isn't one of the selections in the main choices for your pedals, so we're going to go to the E button, and you'll now see we've got the registration that's currently set up is Hovis, and we've got pedal 1 as the plus to go through to the right through all your registration sequences, and we've got pedal 2 to go back down again. So you could have two different pedals set so that one pedal goes up through your registrations and one goes back down through your registrations. If you're wanting to make a particular set order for your registrations, you can program them in, and this is where the registration sequence page, and this is pretty much the same as a Genos and an SX. So on here, to find it, we went to function and we went to the registration page, and that then gives us this bar at the bottom where we can put in the order that we want our registrations to change. Now I've got a registration set up here, it's only got 3 in it. If we just go to that top screen, Charlie, the top, we've got 3 registrations at the moment saved. So I can insert into this button, a section here, I can insert my 3. So I'm going to go to press number 1 button, and it says, do you want to insert it? So yes, insert, and number 1 comes up on the screen. Then I'm going to go to number 2, select it on the panel, and then back to the screen again, and I'm going to insert number 2. Then I'm going to go to number 3 on the panel, and then insert. And I can make as many changes as I want in one big row all the way on the bottom of the screen here, and that will allow me to program the whole song. It might be you want 2 verses and a chorus or something, so you can actually edit it to make that sequence exactly what you've got to suit your registrations. And then at the end you've got to then come out of that, and on here we've gone through and we've got our registration. Now you've got a choice at the end of whether it goes back to the top of the song, whether it stops, or whether it goes on to the next bank of registration. So usually most people would set this E button to top, and that means that when it's gone through 1, 2 and 3, it goes back to number 1 again. So you can then go back through the same sequence again. But the idea is we've programmed in a set of registrations in an order that we want, and then they can be saved to go in with our registration. So at the top here it says registration sequence enable on or off. So if you're going to use the pedal for these, you need to then move that to on, okay? And it won't work until you exit back out. And what's great about this keyboard, when I press the exit button, you may have just seen it's gone to, are you sure you want to say change the registration data? So we've now got in there 1, 2, 3. We've got that programmed in, and I'm going to go yes. I do want to save it. So now what it's done is it's changed my registration sequence to include those settings I've just programmed in, which is very simple in this case, 1, 2, 3, but you might have a more intricate way of setting them. And now when I use my foot switch, we've got to make sure the foot switch is now set back to, this is where it could go wrong, so let's just see what we've got here. Function and registration sequence turned on. It's set to pedal number 1, and my pedal is set into pedal number 1, that's okay. Okay, so now when I use my foot switch, it's going through number 2. Can we go to the main top screen? And number 3, you can now see it's going through on my foot switch. Press, 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 and it's showing me what I've got selected each time. So we've now set the registration sequence up so that it will go just up through the sequence, but it could be jumping backwards and forwards however you want it. But the idea is you can put up to your 8 or 10 in a Genos into a sequence, load them in, arrange it to finish either at stop or end or next bank, and then you can just use your foot switch to go through and change those sequences. Okay, so that's another feature. Let's see if any of you have written any more notes about anything. Tommy, which model would I get? That's the Glide, we've done that one. Best Riccio I finally got on. Okay. Rollinston Gomes, hi David. Hi Rollinston, nice to have you with us. Tommy, and we've got a question for you. It'd be good to let us know if you watch our regular live streams, if this is the first one you're watching, if you'd like to see more, and also what you want us to cover. You know, we're here to give you information that will help your playing. We can show you what we think you might like to know. We'd love to know what you would like to see. So if there are certain features of the keyboards that we tell that you'd like to know more about, then please do let us know. Okay, I'm going to finish off on one more thing. I'm going to use the recording feature, and a lot of people have asked me how to make an audio style from a MIDI file. So we've got 2 different ways to record into the keyboard. One of them is using the song area, which is the MIDI side, the MIDI song recorder, which is up to 16 tracks, and it'll play them all together. And then the second part is the audio recorder. Now the audio recorder, we've covered this a little bit before in other models, but the audio recorder is basically like a microphone held over the keyboard, listening to what we can hear when we're playing the keyboard. Whereas the MIDI recorder is every single part of what's playing and all the features all being recorded. So how many notes I played down, which notes, how much I pressed them down, which accompaniment is playing, how fast it is, and they're all the MIDI parts of the information. So MIDI stands for Musical Instrument Digital Interface, and that's going to be recording all the different steps of what I've played. So if I play something into the MIDI memory first, to record that I'm going to hold down together the 2 buttons up here, record and stop. Okay, now it says there's a song that I played earlier, so I'm going to not save the previous song, and I'm going to now just play something in. So I'm going to go record and stop, and then record. And now you can see at the bottom of the screen all these lights have gone to record. That's because I'm going to do what's called a one-take record. Okay, I'm just going to play something in one go, and it will record everything at the same time. There's nothing to stop you going back in and playing extra melody afterwards, but we're just going to do it as a 1-button press. And I'm going to go to Rhythm and Blues, Acoustic Blues, and I'm going to record myself playing intro, one-take settings, and just start. Brilliant style, this. I'm going to stop it there because I've just realised I've got to play it all back now to put it into the audio recorder, because the audio is going to listen back. So let's go back and just check it's recorded. Slow start because I had it on a different speed. Okay, so we've got that recorded in the memory now, and we're now going to put it into the audio player. So I'm going to press together record and stop in the audio player, and it goes to my audio section and it clears the memory, and then I press record again to start the recording, and in the top corner, start that again. Okay, I'm going to press record, and I'm going to press the play button, which will start the recording, and you can see the time in the top corner started now. So you might want to get it slightly better timed. I'll do that again to show you again. So we're going to go to the record button, which puts it into standby. We're going to press play, but because I want to record the song I've just had in my MIDI recorded area into an audio that could be taken off and burnt onto a CD or something, then I'm going to press the play button, and very, very quickly after that, without a gap, press the play of the song. So I'm going to play to start my recording in the audio section, and then I'm going to play to start my MIDI recording background. And it's now going to play it all through, including all the changes I made. And in the top corner we've got a timer. We know it's going through. That's it. I think I stopped it about now. There we go. So we've now recorded. I can press the stop on the audio recorder, and that's basically listened to all of the MIDI song that I recorded. Now you might have taken ages putting all the separate tracks into the MIDI side, but that's now listened to the MIDI recording as an audio. So the difference is it's a digital recording, and it's going to have listened to the sound that the Genos, or the Tyros in this case, produced. Well, and it's going to save it as what's called an audio WAV file, and that can then be burnt onto a CD on your computer, or it can be played in the car, most probably, if it plays WAV files. But the concept is that the MIDI recorder is track by track by track recording of the information that you played, but it's not listening to the sound that the keyboard produced. It's going to be as good as whatever you play it back through. Whereas the audio recorder is listening to the exact sound that we heard, on this case a Tyros 5, and it will play it back. And if you played this back now in a Genos, it would still sound like a Tyros 5 because it's given us the sound of the keyboard that we've audio recorded. So that's now recorded. Now to find that file, if we go to the file button at the top of the screen here, we can now come into there, and that shows us, it numbers each file, and we've got up to number 8 now. I'm only on page 1, so number 8 is my file I've just made, and I can rename that if I wanted to. I can go to name at the bottom of the screen. Okay, I've highlighted number 8, and I'm going to delete the old name, and I'm going to call it country. So UNTRY. Okay, and that's now called it country, and because it's the letter that comes before S, or one of the letters comes, it shows it at the beginning. It shows it's a WAV file and all the information about it. So the idea is we've made a file. It's an audio file and not a MIDI file now, and we've still got it in the MIDI file area, and we could save it as a MIDI file, which would allow us to go back in and edit it still. But the audio file is a closed file. That's finished with now, and it's ready to be taken off on a memory stick and taken to a computer, maybe to burn or to play in a car or something like that. So this is the way that the system works. You've got MIDI and you've got audio, and if you're on the main screen and you want to find your file, then we can go to the mode button. So just on the top left here, mode, and that then takes us straight into the audio player, and we can choose the file from the file page over here. And if you've got files on a memory stick, they'll show over here on USB, and HD will be next to it. Okay, I hope that's helped. Let's just check your last few messages. I hope today's been a good one. We would say do let us know what you want to cover in these. We're here, we're amateurs, we're just doing it for fun. We do sell them. If you want to buy something, we sell lots of accessories like stands and covers and all the pedals and things. We've got some second-hand ones if you're after something to have a try on, something like that. But we're here to give advice and to show you some of the stuff that we found. And if you think that's something that you would like to know more about, or you think something we should share with everybody else because you've got some good tips, then we'd love to hear from those as well. If you've enjoyed it, there is a tick just at the bottom of the screen you're watching. If you tick that, that means we know that you've enjoyed it. And if you put your thumbs up, not a thumb, the tick, it's a thumbs up. If you put the thumbs up on, that means that we can see that people are enjoying these, and we'll continue to do them. And also you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you look on where you're looking, it says subscribe, and if you do that, you'll get notifications of all of these that we're doing. We're not going to send emails out every single time because some people who don't want to be seeing every single model coming through, so we're going to do it on our YouTube channel, and you can just subscribe and log in, and that means that it will let you know as soon as we're planning some more of these. Okay, so let's just quickly go through. Andy Long from Newbury. Hi Andy, nice to have you with us. Richard Taylor, in the future session on the SX900, need help setting up a subwoofer, no info. Well, Yamaha do a subwoofer, that may be the one that you've got, Richard, which is very neat and just goes out, and we can cover that definitely. Yeah, that'll give you some more help with that. And so 72% of you are watching our live streams regularly, and we've got some others that are new to us. So 9% of you are new today. That's great to have you with us. John Ridgway, hi, nice to have you with us too. So thanks everyone for watching today. I'll play you out with one more song, and we'll be back again. I think tomorrow we're going to do Genos, I believe. I will get that confirmed. It will come up. If you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you'll see that. And I'm David from ePianos, Genos and Tyros Tipsters and Whitley Bay Organs. And we'd love to see you again, but let us know what you'd like us to cover. Let's just play the last song then. I'm going to play on a Latin, and we'll go for a Bossa Nova. Bossa Nova, there we go. And let's put that on. Gonna have to learn that middle bit. See you soon. Take care. Bye bye.